There is a food found in millions of households that has already been officially classified as carcinogenic. And it might be in your fridge right now, in your breakfast, or in the snack you made for your kids without even realizing it. But it's not alone, okay? Other foods that people eat every day without a second thought can also quietly increase this risk over the years. And what's most concerning is that most people have never received this information in a clear and direct way. And the number one food on this list usually surprises people, especially because so many truly believe it's a healthy and convenient choice. Before I reveal any names, I need to tell you something important. And I ask that you listen very carefully because understanding this will make all the difference between having useful information and unnecessary panic. Cancer rarely arises from a single isolated cause. Genetics play a role. Smoking is one of the biggest risk factors science has ever identified. Chronic alcohol consumption is also directly linked to several types of cancer. A sedentary lifestyle, being overweight, and exposure to toxic substances in the environment, all of that counts too. Diet, in this context, is a factor you can change, and it's extremely important, but its effects build up over time. The problem is almost never a single meal. What science looks at is the pattern, the frequency, what ends up on your plate over and over again for years and decades. We're not talking about eating something just once. We're talking about habits built day after day, meal after meal, without anyone noticing the effects that quietly add up over time. With that point made clear, let's get to what really matters. The number one food on this list is the one with the strongest, most compelling, and best documented evidence in the history of research on diet and cancer: processed meats. And don't leave this video just yet, because there's a lot of important stuff I'm going to say about some research institutions, and I really think it's important for you to watch all the way through. So when we're talking about this class of foods, I'm referring to things like hot dogs, ham, bacon, sausage, bologna, salami, and also the well-known processed turkey breast, the kind a lot of people put in lunch boxes thinking it's a light and safe choice. In 2015, the International Agency for Research on Cancer, which is the scientific branch of the World Health Organization, classified processed meats at the highest level of scientific evidence there is, Group 1 carcinogens. Now, I know a lot of people have heard about the WHO, right? The World Health Organization in recent years and have had legitimate doubts about the credibility of this organization. And these doubts deserve respect, not dismissal. The WHO is, in fact, the target of real criticism regarding political influence, funding issues, and transparency in some processes. This is a serious and legitimate debate within the scientific community itself. But here, it's crucial to separate the criticisms precisely, because the classification of processed meats wasn't a decision made by a single agency behind closed doors. It was the result of 22 independent scientists from 10 different countries who analyzed more than 800 studies conducted over decades in diverse populations across several continents. And when this result was published, the strongest reaction didn't come from the scientific community. It was the large-scale commercial meat processing and packaging industries that were the ones who strongly objected to the findings, specifically the ones who labeled the scientific conclusions as being unnecessarily alarmist and even actively pressured various national governments to cut the agency's significant research funding. Independent science, including researchers from Harvard, the renowned medical journal The Lancet, and the World Cancer Research Fund, consistently confirmed the findings in the following years. So understand this: questioning the World Health Organization broadly is reasonable and even healthy, right? But dismissing this specific classification because of those criticisms would be like throwing out evidence that has survived the scrutiny of hundreds of independent researchers over nearly a decade. The evidence about processed meats stands not because of the World Health Organization, but despite all the attempts to discredit it. And the numbers make this even more concrete. The World Health Organization, WHO, estimates that eating 50 grams of processed meat per day, the equivalent of 2 sausages or a few slices of ham, increases the risk of bowel cancer by 18%, right? 50 grams every day. That's less than what a lot of people eat in a single breakfast, okay? There's no point in coming here in the comments and saying that your grandma ate this every day. We're talking about risk. That is probability. It doesn't mean that everyone who eats this every day is 100% going to get cancer. That's not it, but the probability of those people getting it is higher than for those who don't eat it. That's how we work in science, with probability, okay? So it doesn't mean that if you eat it, you'll get it, or if your dad ate it his whole life and never got it. That's not it. We're talking about probability. The mechanism behind this is important to understand, but I'm going to explain it here in a really simple way. These meats contain preservatives called nitrites, which are used to give color, flavor, and increase the product's shelf life. When these nitrites enter your body and encounter the acidic environment of your stomach, they can react with proteins in the meat itself and form compounds called nitrosamines. Think of them as little agents that have the ability to damage the genetic material of your cells, like tiny sparks falling over and over again on the same spot. When this happens repeatedly over the years, the risk of developing cancerous cells increases. In other words, the probability goes up. It's not something that happens overnight. It's a slow and silent process built up by daily habits. The most common mistake is exactly this: breakfast with ham and sausage, a snack with bologna, a quick dinner with sausage. This routine, repeated for years on end, is exactly the pattern that science identifies as concerning. But before I talk about other foods, if you want to follow shorter content and see more of my daily life, follow me on Instagram. There, I always share health information with shorter and quicker videos. And don't forget to subscribe here too, right? To the channel here on YouTube and turn on the notification bell. Here, the content is longer, but I try to bring you the best information possible so you can take better care of yourself. So, now that we've covered food number 1, let's move on to the second. And here, there's a point that needs special attention so it doesn't cause confusion. We're talking about the habit of consuming far too much red meat, particularly in cases where it's consistently prepared and cooked at very high temperatures, and eventually becomes heavily charred on the outside. Fresh red meat, the kind that comes from beef, pork, or lamb without industrial processing, was classified by the same scientific agency we mentioned earlier, but in a different and less severe, less serious category. Probably carcinogenic to humans, with even more limited evidence than that for processed meats. This is not an invitation to cut red meat out of your life, and it's really important not to fall into food panic. What science shows is that frequent consumption in large amounts, especially when combined with that intense charring, the burnt and blackened parts of barbecue, the meat that gets black on the grill, those dark pieces that a lot of people think are the tastiest, encourages the formation of compounds that have the potential to damage cells over time. Barbecue every now and then, in moderation, isn't the problem. The problem is having barbecue every week with meat that's always charred, really toasted, combined with high consumption over a long period, okay? That's the pattern that deserves attention and, if needed, adjustment, all right? Moving on, we come to the third element here, And this one, for sure, is the most common in the daily lives of families here in Brazil, but also around the world, right? At parties, quick meals, on the tables of both kids and adults. Sugary drinks, sodas, processed juices, sweetened energy drinks, nectars with a high sugar content. The link between these drinks and cancer isn't always direct, but it happens through a powerful and well-documented pathway. Regular consumption of these drinks leads to progressive weight gain, obesity, and a constant low-grade inflammatory state in the body. And the most recent research shows that this risk exists even in people who don't become overweight, because the excess liquid sugar, which is absorbed much faster than the sugar found in solid foods, overloads the metabolism and repeatedly stimulates insulin production. Think of it this way. When you drink a soda, the sugar enters your bloodstream almost immediately, as if you just turned on a faucet. Your body releases insulin to handle all that sugar. And when this happens every day for years, your body starts to develop an internal environment of silent inflammation. And silent chronic inflammation is, as science has widely shown, fertile ground for the development of various types of cancer, including breast, endometrial, liver, pancreatic, and intestinal cancers. Sugar in small amounts and occasionally is not the problem. The problem is daily, frequent, and high-volume consumption. That's what really deserves our attention. The fourth group on this list is perhaps the hardest to see as a problem, precisely because it's everywhere and seems completely normal. Ultra-processed foods in general. Instant noodles, packaged snacks, filled cookies, low-quality frozen meals, and all kinds of processed meats. To understand what an ultra-processed food is, think of it this way. If you look at the ingredient list on a product label and see dozens of names that sound more like chemical formulas than food, emulsifiers, stabilizers, artificial flavorings, glucose syrup, coloring, then that product is probably an ultra-processed food. Recent large-scale studies, including an analysis of more than 260,000 people followed in 7 European countries, have shown an association between high consumption of these foods and an increased risk of various types of cancer. There are multiple reasons. Excess sodium, which in large amounts is linked to stomach cancer, excess refined fats, extremely high calorie content with very little nutritional value, which promotes weight gain, and the presence of additives, whose long-term effects on gut balance and inflammation in the body are already starting to raise red flags in the scientific community. A diet based mainly on ultra-processed foods is essentially a diet that keeps the body in a constant state of inflammation. And as you've already understood throughout this video, chronic inflammation is the common denominator in almost everything we're discussing here. The fifth and final point on this list is the one that generates the most debate in the scientific community, and that's why I'm going to be completely honest with you. We're talking about foods that are excessively burned, heavily fried, or intensely toasted, right? Very dark French fries, burnt toast, grilled meats, which I already mentioned a bit at the beginning of the video, to the point where they're completely blackened. You know, bread that's been overcooked, okay? In these cases, a compound called acrylamide naturally forms. The name is technical, but the explanation is simple. When starchy foods like potatoes and bread are exposed to very high temperatures, above 120 degrees, a chemical reaction occurs that produces this substance. In animal studies, acrylamide has shown consistent carcinogenic potential, and because of this, it is classified as a probable human carcinogen. However, to be honest and precise with you, studies on people, on humans, right, still haven't reached a definitive conclusion about the actual size of this risk at the amounts we typically consume in our daily lives. It's not a reason to panic, but it is a reason to be cautious. Regularly avoid, the more burnt pieces, don't frequently eat heavily charred foods, and choose cooking methods with more moderate temperatures when possible, okay? The scientific community is still actively investigating and researching this issue in great depth, but your own practical common sense is already more than enough to guide you toward a much safer and more informed choice. Now, pay attention to this part because this is where a lot of people really get surprised. And it's also where the food industry works most skillfully to create confusion. Some foods that seem healthier at first glance fit perfectly into the categories we just discussed. Industrialized turkey breast, widely sold as a light, healthy option ideal for diets, is actually a processed meat with nitrites, preservatives, and the whole profile that science classifies at the highest level of evidence. Ultra-processed cereal bars, packed with glucose syrup, corn syrup, emulsifiers, and artificial flavors, fall into the ultra-processed foods group. And the so-called fit products that fill the shelves of gyms and supplement stores, right, often loaded with additives, artificial sweeteners, and ingredients you can't even pronounce, are, well, not necessarily safer choices than simple natural foods. The food industry is extremely skilled at creating the perception of health without actually delivering it. Recognizing this is one of the most important steps to truly taking care of your health. So, what should you put in place of all that? The answer from science is actually really simple and doesn't require any expensive products, fancy protocols, or trendy diets. Natural and less processed proteins, eggs, chicken without industrial processing, fish, and legumes like beans, lentils, or chickpeas, as well as a variety of fresh fruits, which, in addition to vitamins, provide compounds with protective functions that are widely documented by science. Vegetables of all kinds, especially broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage, which contain bioactive compounds with well-studied protective potential. Oats, which in addition to fiber, help regulate cholesterol and reduce inflammation. Nuts, such as walnuts, Brazil nuts, and almonds, which are sources of healthy fats and anti-inflammatory substances. The logic is straightforward and powerful. The more a food resembles what nature produced, without heavy industrial processing, without a huge list of ingredients that look more like a chemical formula than food, the more likely it is to be compatible with your long-term health. There is no miracle food, but there is a dietary pattern that protects you, and it's built through consistency, variety, and conscious choices made day after day. You don't need to live in fear of food. That was never my goal. Anxiety about eating in itself also harms your health, and science confirms this. The goal is awareness, to clearly see what's on your plate and understand the impact it has over the years. And now you have this information. The question that remains is simple and direct. Which of these foods still shows up frequently in your home? Think about that calmly, okay? I'll leave it here for now. God bless you. Take care and a big hood.